The war was already lost. The Scifi generals knew it. The fleets burning in the void above their capital world were proof enough. What had once been the most powerful armada in the known galaxy was now reduced to so many drifting carcasses, their elegant silver hulls fractured, their energy cores ruptured, and spilling radiation into the abyss. Admiral Saris Velzurin stood rigid on the observation deck, his deep violet eyes reflecting the light of countless explosions. His long, ceremonial robes, a remnant of a time when such symbols held meaning, felt like a mockery now. The Korvax swarm did not fight wars in the way civilized species did. They did not pause, negotiate, or recognize surrender. They consumed. They adapted. They exterminated. A holographic display flickered to life beside him, casting an eerie blue glow against the blood-red backdrop of the burning planet below. "High Admiral," a voice crackled through the static. "We estimate total planetary defense collapse in 48 standard hours. The swarm's primary forces are pushing through our last defensive line." The signal cut off. A sharp burst of shrieking, an inhuman wail of something being devoured, and then silence. The transmission indicator faded. Velzarin clenched his jaw. Another fleet lost. Another world about to fall. "We are at an end," whispered General Lyrian Viesol, standing at his side. Unlike Velzarin, she had shed the ceremonial garb of her station, now clad in the slim, form-fitting combat armor of the Scifi elite. Her silver hair was unkempt, her face shadowed with exhaustion. Velzarin exhaled, his fingers tightening behind his back. He despised surrender, but this was not surrender. This was extinction. "There is still one option," he said quietly. Lyrian turned, her expression sharpening. "The Terrans," Velzarin continued, though the words felt bitter in his mouth. "We send for them." Lyrian flinched, as though struck. "We swore never to." "We are beyond honor, General," he said coldly. "The swarm has no concept of it, and neither should we. If humanity is as ruthless as we feared, then perhaps that is what we need." Silence hung between them. The Scifi had always regarded the humans as dangerous, unpredictable, and above all, monstrous in their methods of warfare. Where the Scifi fought with precision and elegance, the humans were brutal. Where the Scifi sought order and diplomacy, the humans embraced chaos. For centuries, they had kept their distance, ensuring Terran expansion remained confined to the outer fringes of known space. And yet now, in their darkest hour, the Scifi were about to send a plea to the very species they had once feared. Velzarin turned to his comms officer. "Send the transmission." The officer hesitated, then inclined his head. "Yes, High Admiral." The message was sent. For 12 agonizing hours, they waited. The battle raged on in the void above them, the screams of their dying soldiers echoing through the command center as one stronghold after another fell. Then, without warning, the darkness of space was pierced by a violent burst of light. Velzarin's breath caught in his throat as something massive dropped out of slipspace, something that did not bear the sleek, silver curvature of Scifi design. It was a fortress of metal and function over form, a warship built with brutal efficiency. The Iron Reaper had arrived. The hull of the Terran dreadnought was pitted and scarred, a testament to its history of countless battles. Its weapons glowed a dull crimson, a predator's gaze upon prey. Velzarin's comms officer paled. "Incoming transmission. Patch it through." A figure appeared on the main holo display, his image marred by static and interference. The human was clad in dark, plated armor, his features sharp, his expression unreadable. A thick scar carved a path from his temple to his jaw, and his eyes, cold, calculating, predatory, locked onto Velzarin's. "This is Commander Elias Voss of the Black Talons." His voice was even, detached, as though speaking of a matter already decided. "We received your distress call." Velzarin swallowed his pride. "We request immediate military intervention." "The swarm." "We know." Voss interrupted. "We've been watching." Lyrian bristled. "Watching? You?" "I don't waste men on a losing fight," Voss said flatly. "Until now, you were losing. Badly. But now, you're under our command. The sheer audacity left Velzerin momentarily speechless. Even now, on the brink of annihilation, the humans did not speak with reverence or fear. They spoke as if they had already decided the outcome. You would claim authority over Scifi forces? Velzerin managed. Voss tilted his head slightly. Do you want to win this war? The question lingered. Velzerin clenched his fists. Pride had no place in survival. What do you need? He asked. Voss exhaled, as if the conversation was finally moving in a direction he could tolerate. Your fleets are in shambles, your ground defenses are obsolete, and your command structure is paralyzed by indecision. His tone was clinical, detached. We're fixing that. Effective immediately, all remaining Scifi forces fall under Terran jurisdiction. We don't fight wars. We end them. Lyrian stiffened. You demand our obedience? No, Voss replied. We demand results. Velzerin held his breath as the implications sank in. The Terrans had not come to advise. They had come to take over. Another ripple in space. More warships emerged from the void. Not elegant battlecruisers or precision fighters, but iron-clad behemoths built not for honor, but for annihilation. For the first time in his life, Velzerin felt the stirrings of something foreign. Not relief, not hope, fear. Voss's voice was measured, final. We begin the counteroffensive immediately. Do exactly as we say, and you might survive this. The transmission cut. Velzerin turned to Lyrian, whose expression mirrored his own unspoken thoughts. The war was no longer theirs to fight. It belonged to the humans now. The battle was no longer a war of attrition. It was a hunt. From the bridge of the Iron Reaper, Commander Elias Voss watched as human warships descended upon the Korvax swarm like wolves upon dying prey. There was no elegance to their approach, no carefully measured formations or reverence for the art of war. The Scifi had wasted too much time trying to match the swarm in disciplined battle. Humanity did not make that mistake. The void burned with the relentless fury of human warfare. Cluster munitions detonated in bursts of white-hot fire, splitting apart organic dreadnoughts mid-maneuver. Kinetic railguns, simple and devastating, shredded through chitinous hulls like paper. The humans did not fight cleanly. They did not wait for the swarm to react. They struck where the enemy was weakest and then kept striking. In the span of hours, the tide had turned. On the command deck, the Scifi officers stood in stunned silence. Admiral Velzerin had seen thousands of battles, had commanded fleets that once ruled entire sectors, but nothing, nothing, had prepared him for the brutality unfolding before him. One of his strategists, a younger officer named Cowrin, swallowed audibly. They're slaughtering them. Beside him, General Lyrian Viesol stood rigid, her silver eyes locked on the battle's carnage. No, she murmured. They're culling them. Voss barely acknowledged them. His gaze remained fixed on the holographic display as the next stage of his plan unfolded. The Korvac were learning. They always did. Already, their larger war beasts were shifting strategies, forming new battle patterns in response to the human assault. It wouldn't save them. Begin orbital bombardment, Voss ordered. A silence fell over the command deck. Velzerin turned sharply. There are still Scifi strongholds on the surface. There were, Voss corrected. Your people are dead, Admiral. If they're not, they will be in minutes. You hesitate, you lose. We're not losing. Velzerin inhaled sharply. You can't. Voss met his gaze, his voice devoid of anything resembling emotion. I am. Velzerin's hands clenched, but he said nothing. From above the planet, Terran warships reoriented their mass accelerators. There were no intricate target-locking sequences or deliberations over collateral damage. The calculations had already been made. The humans had spent decades mastering planetary annihilation. The first payloads hit within seconds. The bombardment was not a single cataclysmic strike, but a rolling wave of destruction, a relentless cascade of thermobaric fire that ignited entire regions at once. The Scifi command center's displays flared red as entire continents were consumed. Cowrin choked back horror. How can they be so efficient? Lyrian finished, voice hollow. Cowrin turned to her, face pale. Ruthless. The Ziri had once prided themselves on war fought with honor, with precision. But there was no honor in fighting the swarm. There was only survival. Voss exhaled, the faintest ghost of satisfaction crossing his features. Phase 1 complete, he said, his voice calm over the destruction. Prepare for ground insertion. The horror in the room deepened. You mean to deploy troops? Velzarin asked. After that, Voss's gaze was unwavering. The orbital strikes weakened them. We go in to clean up. The Black Talons were already moving. Elite human operatives clad in advanced combat armor loaded into drop pods, their visors reflecting cold blue light. Each soldier was augmented. Asterisk battle-hardened killers genetically enhanced for war. Asterisk. Lyrian watched as the first wave of human forces descended toward the burning world below. May the stars forgive us, she whispered. There was no reply. The landing was violent. The drop pods slammed into the ruined surface, breaking through layers of shattered chitin and burning wreckage. Steam hissed from the cracks, and for a moment, the world was silent. Then, with a metallic screech, the pod doors burst open. The Black Talons emerged. They moved without hesitation, weapons raised, silent ghosts in a world of fire. Their helmets filtered out the stench of death, the heat of burning flesh. The swarm was already reacting, horrors of flesh and claw spilling from the ruins, their guttural shrieks echoing across the broken landscape. The humans did not flinch. They did not call out orders. They did not hesitate. They killed. Voss's men moved with mechanical precision. Suppression fire cut down the first wave. Kinetic rifles tore through chitin and muscle. Incendiary grenades turned organic war forms into living pyres. Lyrian had fought in hundreds of engagements. She had seen warriors fight with desperation, with fury, with passion. But the Black Talons fought with certainty. Voss's voice came through her comms, cold and sharp. Advance. She followed. The deeper they pushed into the ruins, the worse the horrors became. The swarm was adapting, bodies fusing into grotesque amalgamations of war beasts, towering things of bone and sinew, dripping with acidic bile. One of the creatures lunged. A Black Talon sidestepped, drove a monomolecular blade through its skull, and moved on before the body hit the ground. They did not speak. They did not hesitate. A larger war form, a brood titan, emerged from the wreckage, its elongated arms covered in razor-like protrusions. It screeched, the sound vibrating through the air. Lyrian instinctively braced. The Black Talons did not. Voss raised his rifle and fired a single shot. The Titan's skull detonated. Lyrian blinked. What kind of weapon? Modified mass reactive round, Voss said simply. Aim for the core, not the limbs. Faster kill. There was no pride in his voice. No arrogance. Just fact. The swarm was failing. For the first time in this war, the Korvac were retreating. It was unnatural. They were not meant to retreat. They're breaking, Velzarin murmured over comms, disbelief lacing his voice. Voss remained silent. The ground trembled. Then came a response. A sound unlike any before. Asterisk, a deep, reverberating chime that sent shudders through the air. Asterisk, Lyrian's blood ran cold. The Korvac were not mindless. They adapted. They learned. They had learned from the humans. A new form stepped from the darkness. Taller, stronger, more precise. Asterisk, its body was not a writhing mass of hunger, but something deliberate. Its eyes, once voids of hunger. Asterisk, now held intelligence. Asterisk. It spoke. We see you. Lyrian's breath caught. Voss did not react. Commander, a Black Talon murmured, voice steady. Orders. Voss raised his rifle. Kill it. The war had changed. Again, the creature did not flinch. It did not lunge blindly like the others. It stood in the smoldering ruins, chitinous armor reflecting the glow of distant fires. Its elongated limbs moved with eerie precision, its clawed fingers flexing as if testing their strength. Then it smiled. The Korvac had never smiled before. Voss fired. The round struck center mass, detonating in a burst of flesh and splintered bone. But the thing did not fall. It absorbed the impact, black ichor spilling from the wound, yet remained standing. Its head tilted, considering, as if processing the sensation of pain for the first time. Then, with impossible speed, it moved. A black talon barely had time to react before claws sliced clean through his armor, severing him in two. The others adjusted instantly, opening fire in a synchronized barrage, but the creature blurred between shots, weaving through destruction with unnatural intelligence. Lyrian's breath caught as she fired alongside them, watching in horror as it dodged, calculated, adapted. The swarm had always been relentless. It had never been strategic. Now it was. Velzarin's voice came through the comms, sharp with tension. "What is that thing?" Voss didn't answer. He was already moving. The Black Talons switched tactics. They fanned out, forcing the creature into a kill zone, but it was already anticipating their movements. It leapt, talons slashing through another soldier, before twisting in midair and launching itself toward Voss. Voss ducked low, rolled beneath its sweeping claws, and fired upward. A direct headshot. Bone and blood exploded outward. The creature hit the ground in a convulsing heap. Then it laughed. The sound was wrong, jagged, mocking, something that had no place in the guttural screeches of the swarm. Then the pieces of its shattered skull began knitting back together. Lyrian's blood ran cold. The comms crackled. A second voice. Not human. Not Korvac. Something in between. "We have seen you," it whispered. "We have become you." The realization struck like a physical blow. The swarm had always consumed. It had taken the bodies of the fallen, reshaped them, twisted them into new horrors. But now, after facing humanity's merciless efficiency, it had learned. It was no longer mindless. It was thinking. "Fall back," Voss ordered, his voice betraying no panic, only cold efficiency. His men obeyed without hesitation, breaking formation and dispersing like smoke. There was no frantic retreat, no wasted movement, just cold practice survival. The creature did not pursue. It only watched. The ruins around them trembled. From the shadows, more emerged. Not wild beasts. Not mindless monsters. Soldiers. They moved in formation, taking positions, scanning for weaknesses. The Korvac had never needed tactics before. Now they had them. Lyrian felt a cold sweat trickle down her spine. This is impossible. Voss's jaw tightened. No, this is war. The Terran fleet above rained fire upon the planet, but the swarm did not break. It adapted. It used cover, it flanked, it countered. Every second, it grew stronger. For the first time since the battle began, Voss's eyes narrowed in something close to contemplation. Velzarin's voice came through the comms. "What's happening down there?" "The swarm," Voss said quietly. Asterisk, asterisk, it's changing. Asterisk, asterisk. A pause. Then Velzarin spoke again, voice unreadable. "Then so must we." Voss exhaled. The battle was no longer about winning. It was about who could become the better monster. Voss did not blink, did not hesitate. The battlefield was shifting beneath him, turning into something far worse than even humanity had anticipated. The swarm was no longer just an overwhelming mass of mindless hunger. It was thinking, learning. The enemy's newest creations, twisted hybrids of Korvac and human ingenuity, had already begun executing tactics that should have been beyond them. They took cover, coordinated their attacks, and calculated weaknesses. These were no longer just creatures of instinct. They were soldiers now, and soldiers could win wars. Lyrian stood beside Voss, her breathing measured but sharp. "They're mirroring us," she murmured, watching as the creatures adjusted their flanking formations, countering Black Talon maneuvers in real time. They don't just react, they're anticipating. Voss was already moving. "We changed the rules." A single gesture sent the Black Talons into motion. They stopped fighting like humans. Precision fire was abandoned. Orderly formations dissolved. Instead, they became unpredictable, chaotic, ruthless, fighting like cornered predators, taking risks that no machine, no mind, could perfectly calculate. A swarm creature lunged, but a Talon sidestepped at the last second, letting it impale itself on another's claws. Another beast twisted to parry a rifle strike, only for a second Talon to shoot it point-blank through the skull. The battle had turned into something brutal, something primal, and the swarm hesitated. Even as they adapted, they could not replicate madness. The creatures were too calculated. They did not fear. They did not rage. But humans? Humans made war into something feral, something uncontrollable. Voss used that. A surge forward, asterisk, asterisk, a reckless charge, asterisk, asterisk, cut through the enemy like a scalpel through flesh. The Talons pushed deep, aiming not for victory, but for disruption. The swarm faltered. Their new intelligence made them dangerous, but it also made them hesitate. And hesitation meant death. Voss's rifle cracked. Lyrian followed, her blade severing chitin and bone. Velzarin's voice came through the comms, raw with tension. We're detecting fractures in their formations. Your tactics are working, but it's not enough. You can't hold out forever. Voss already knew that. The swarm would keep adapting. No matter how unpredictable humanity made itself, these creatures would catch up, unless they weren't given the chance. Voss turned sharply to one of his operatives. Are the charges in place? Yes, Commander. Lyrian's eyes widened. You planted explosives? Not explosives, Voss corrected, eyes dark. Asterisk, asterisk, neural dampeners. Asterisk, asterisk. Lyrian stiffened. She had read reports, whispers of weapons the Terrans had developed, weapons not just designed to kill, but to strip an enemy of its very ability to think. Voss didn't wait for approval. There was no time. All units, asterisk, asterisk, detonate. Asterisk, asterisk. The charges activated. A pulse rippled outward, invisible but catastrophic. The swarm shuddered. Creatures stumbled, their movements faltering. Those that had been perfectly coordinated mere seconds ago twitched, spasmed, fell. Lyrian gasped. You're asterisk, asterisk, disrupting their minds. Asterisk, asterisk. Voss's face remained cold. Intelligence is a weapon, General. If they want to use it, we'll take it away. The battlefield changed instantly. The once coordinated creatures now lagged, their reactions sluggish. The advantage had been ripped from them, and the humans did not hesitate. The Talons butchered their way through the disoriented enemy, striking before the creatures could readapt. Where before the fight had been balanced, now it was a slaughter. Velzarin's voice came through the comms, thick with disbelief. You're winning. Voss did not smile. This was not victory. This was simply the final move. We finished this. From above, the Iron Reaper reoriented its primary weapons. Orbital cannons hummed, charging for the final strike. Velzarin hesitated. You mean to destroy what remains? Voss's voice was absolute. We end them. Now. Lyrian exhaled. There was no room for mercy. Fire. From the heavens, death reigned. The orbital strike cleansed the battlefield in fire and ruin. Everything, asterisk, asterisk, every creature, every trace of the new intelligence, asterisk, asterisk, was reduced to ash. When the flames faded, the battlefield was silent. The war was over. Voss surveyed the destruction without triumph. He had seen too many wars, too many endings. There was no victory in extermination. There was only survival. Velzarin spoke at last, his voice low. The Scifi could not have done this. No, Voss agreed. You couldn't. Lyrian's expression was unreadable. And if the swarm learns again? Voss's answer was quiet. Then so will we. Silence settled. The war had been lost. Asterisk, asterisk, until humanity had taken over. Asterisk, asterisk.